Okay, so good to hear that exciting voice. I'll just share my screen and today what we're going to do is yet another part of accounting. What Professor Malhotra told you all yesterday was that we have designed our program in a manner that we are addressing all the three major blocks of finance and accounting. So one major block, which was about financial accounting and reporting, we have already covered that block. Second block is cost accounting, cost and management accounting. Cost is something we all know, being HR faculty, marketing faculty, how important that is. That is the second block, which I will be addressing. And then there is third block, which is corporate finance, which once this block is over, we'll be talking about that block. So today, I will start with cost accounting for you. And as I said, cost is something that affects all of us, not just only as individuals, as consumers, as faculty members. When you talk about HRM or when you talk about marketing management, I'm sure you talk about pricing, right? And you talk about how much is the budget for, say, training and recruitment, right? So when you talk about any particular area, uh, every decision we take will have certain implication on our profitability and cost, right? So that's the focus today. I'm going to start with the basics and what I've heard from my colleagues. I must go slightly slow with this because this is going to be your first exposure to cost and cost concepts. I'm assuming that. Right. And if at all I go fast somewhere, or if you think you're not understanding, kindly be very open about sharing it on the chat window. I will not mind, I will slow down, or if you want me to go slightly faster, I can do that as well. And since this is, a 2 hour session, if you think it is too long, we'll have a break in between, maybe after an hour or 45 minutes. Right. So that we can decide. That will be on the base. That will be a logical break. Wherever a question is ending, maybe we can decide it accordingly. Right. So I want to start with this. How many of you are facing this situation right now? How many of you feel like, just forget about all this, let me have a quick nap? Post lunch? Any of you who's facing this kind of a situation right now? Be honest, come on, tell me. Lakshay? I hope my screen is visible. Supriya has written already had a sleep. Okay. Short one before joining. Okay, great. Yes, Neha, you also feeling sleepy? Yes. This is what normally happens when a session is post lunch. And I'm happy that this is the only session that I have is post lunch. Tomorrow, my sessions are in the morning when we kind of assume the attention is at peak. Right. Post lunch, we all get into that mode. It's like, is there any marketing faculty out here? Is there a marketing faculty? Lakshay, what do you teach?
Ma'am, I teach innovation, entrepreneurship.
Innovation.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Anyone who's teaching marketing here? Sneha, what do you teach?
I am into very technical field, computer networks and security.
Oh, wow. Okay, that actually sounds very technical to me.
Absolutely technical, nothing of finance.
Okay, never mind. Which is great for us. This is meant to be for people who are non-finance, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. Yeah.
okay. So why I was asking, because we have in marketing a product life cycle, it reaches a peak and then it starts going down, right? It's called PLC, product life cycle, right? Similarly, we also have our cycle of attention throughout the day. When we start in the morning, depending upon whether you're a morning person or an evening person, after there's certain who will wake up groggy, and then after some time, once we enter our office, we slightly person like me will have highest attention at that time, and after lunch it's kinds of goes down. But I'll try that you don't stay in that kind of a mode for a long time. If you are in that mode, we'll try to wake you up. Okay. So what is it that we'll do today? First, of course, you've already, as I said, we are going to talk about cost and cost concepts. This is the second block. So my duty here is to give you what is the difference between the first block and the second block. And I'm sure the one who will start with the third block will further add to how the third block is different from the first one. So first one, we concentrated on financial accounting. This one, we are going to concentrate on the term cost. Financial accounting, here the purpose was to communicate to the outsiders of the business, largely. Though we might, that whatever reports we are generating are useful for the insiders as well. But the primary purpose was, since companies take money from investors at a large, they are answerable to them. Right? So equity investors have invested in the company. So company tells equity investors, this is what I am doing with your money. How do they tell them that this is what they're doing with their money? They use financial statements for that. They use profit and loss statement, they use balance sheet, and they use cash flow statement. This is what was discussed yesterday and today. And also, lot of judgment opinion is formed on the basis of this information that was communicated to the outsiders. Now, the focus of financial accounting is largely outsiders. All right. Since we are communicating it to outsider, there is a format. P&L account, write it like this. Balance sheet, write it like this. Cash flow statement, write it like this. But while we talk about insider, cost information is secret information, largely for insiders, of mainly for the insiders of the organization. And therefore, not very format specific that, oh, you must write, first thing is to write in P&L account is revenue. No, you can write the way you want, right? And this being secret obviously stays within office. So you will not normally get to know how much does it cost to make a shampoo by Hindustan Unilever Limited. We don't know. We know what is their profit, but actual cost per bottle, we will never get to. That is something that stays within the organization. All right. So my focus today as well as tomorrow is going to be, I like to build upon certain concepts. And these concepts, I think will be very useful for whichever subject you are teaching. Because while we take any decision, financial implication of the decision is extremely important. That one needs to keep it in mind while taking a decision. And while doing that financial implication, it is essential that whether you're heading an IT project or a marketing promotion exercise or advertising budget or a faculty development program like this, you need to understand what is the cost that is involved in it. All right. That will give you a lot of confidence as to whether I should launch it, when to launch it, right? And whether it will add value to my organization or not. All right. So as I said, this is going to be inside focus. So no format, right? That this is to be written in this way. No, you can write it the way you want. right? It's like, we all work for academic institutions, so we'll all understand this. It's like how many books to order by a librarian. Right now, he can produce this information in many different ways. There is no particular template for it. The way we had a template for balance sheet, P&L, and cash flow, we do not have templates here. Right? So let me just show it to you. How is this different from financial accounting? Major differences. So as I said, here the purpose is going to be primarily decision making. Cost is one of the more major component while taking any kind of decision. So managerial accounting focuses on that, whereas financial accounting is communicating it to the outside world. Primary users, as I already said, internal focus, managerial accounting, financial accounting is for the external. Focus here is going to be, as I said, how many books to order in a library. I'll show you a few more questions that a manager face. So it's basically for people inside, and they are looking at future orientation, right? But financial accounting is, what is it that happened last year? So it is past oriented, right? We do make prospective or forecasted financial statements, but what we communicate to the outsider is the past financial statements. As I said, do not follow any template. That follows a template. And time span is, decision like whether I should launch another program or whether HUL should maybe start manufacturing mobile phones. Now, this is current, current time span, and around this, I need to collect information to arrive at that decision. Right? So this also does have impact on the behavioral issues, because the way we will talk about this project will also influence how employees behave, right? And since financial accounting is largely about reporting, it indirectly affects, it doesn't directly affect the employee behavior. So this was my attempt of distinguishing your first block with the second block, right? So let's look at, when I say management accounting or when I say cost accounting, I'm going to use these terms interchangeably, right? So what is it? What are the kind of decisions that they face? Let's have a look at the first one. Suppose you're a product manager at Kellogg's and you're designing a new marketing plan for Fruit Loops. Market research predicts that distributing free samples in the malls will increase annual sales by 4%. Now tell me, what kind of decisions what kind of information will you collate for a decision like this? If you're a product manager at Kellogg's and you're designing a new marketing plan, and your marketing research department has told you that if you distribute free samples in the malls, it will increase the annual sales by 4%. Will you go for this? You will not go for this? Yes, no, and on what basis will you arrive at this decision? Yes. Anyone who can help me with this? Pragya?
What would be the quantity of free samples that would be effective, and as compared to that, to what extent will the sale increase? So is it worth giving out that quantity?
Okay. So Ashwini, isn't he saying that the sale will increase by 4%?
But how much are we giving out?
Currently selling. Okay, very good. Anyone else? Yeah, I have seen some answer popping up here. What is the cost to make each sample? Very good. So we need to look at the cost of each sample also, and have a look at this. So wouldn't you look at it like this? Will the cost of the free samples be more than the, so what is it that you're looking at? You're looking at incremental sales of 4%, right? As Ashwini said, what is it that I'm currently selling, right? So will this incremental sale cover this free distribution that I did or not? Because the whole point is, if I'm distributing something for free, I need to recover that, isn't it? Right? So again, you need to here keep in mind, will the cost of the free samples, including the cost of distribution, be more than the profit from the added sales? Right? So this is a small marketing decision, which is obviously getting impacted by cost. Have a look at another one. Medicine Cafe is a dinner-only restaurant. Suppose you're the proprietor and are considering opening for lunch. To be competitive, you must price the average lunch at about 650 rupees. And you can serve 40 patrons. So what is your advice to Medicine Cafe? They should do it, not do it, under what circumstances they should do it? Yes, please. Anshumani, will you please like to answer that?
Me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah. 650 into 40 is 26,000. So that is our total sales. What is the cost? You know, because we'll have to call in the chefs as well as the waiting staff, the managers.
Yeah.
That is going to increase our, cost of human resources. Is it worth it? Because then in the evening we'll have a shortage of people, and probably we are doing very well in the evenings. So we'll probably have to think about whether it's feasible for 26,000.
Absolutely. Anyone who like to add that? That's a wonderful answer there. Lakshay, you like to add something? And is Pavit not around today? Pavit Shah. Hina, will you like to add something? Anyone else?
I think all the points is being covered by ma'am. So
how about the quality of food?
Quality of the food, it is average, ma'am.
So no, if there is a cafe which is already doing dinner, it is a dinner only restaurant, they have earned certain name by just giving dinner. Wouldn't you like to know how my reputation as a dinner only restaurant be affected, or how the quality be impacted? And also, because you're known for certain quality, what Ashwini just said is fine. We must also look at, can the restaurant produce a lunch that meets the same quality? See, if I am known for a certain quality already, I need to ensure by adding another product to my product line, am I increasing the quality of am I increasing the reputation of my company, or am I maintaining it, or is it going down? So that depends upon what is the quality of food that you're preparing. Yes, it should be within that 650 rupees, because you cannot charge more than that, right? So this is very well covered. So another important aspect of management accounting is it has direct link with strategy, right? So if any of you is teaching strategy, is there anyone who's teaching strategy here? Anyone? Somebody said innovation. Innovation is also part of strategy, isn't it? Yes, yeah, Lakshay, it is. How do you, what do you think might be the link between strategy and management accounting?
Ma'am, what is the aspect they are trying to manage it? Because you have said no, they have provided dinner and they are trying to have lunch with the same quality. So that is the strategy to attract the customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. You put it up very well. So let's have a look at it. You know, strategy when we talk is, it specifies how an organization matches its own capabilities with the opportunities that are there in the marketplace. Right? So one of the major component of strategy, and that's where management accounting plays a very important role, is strategic cost management. All right. So when we're talking about quality of Medicine Cafe, the quality of food that they should provide to meet their impression in the market. Okay, that is that one dimension of strategy is that, can I meet that requirement within that cost or not? So it is basically focusing especially on the cost dimension of any strategy, any step that you're going to take. Right? So that's the link. Let's have a look at specific questions that it will answer. And these are extremely important questions. One, who are our most important customers and how do we deliver value to them? We all in academic institutes, we all know our major customer is corporates and students. Whatever we train here, whatever we teach students here, ultimately it's the companies which recruit them, right? So if we know them and we kind of question, are we delivering value to them? Whatever we are teaching in the class, how useful is that for companies which are recruiting them, right? And what is the bargaining power of our suppliers and customers? Now, this is one question I'm sure we've all studied strategy at some level in MBA or in ICWA or CA or whichever qualifications you have. Largely, we are MBAs here. The Porter's model also talks about bargaining power of our customers and suppliers. Right? So when you talk about automobile industry, we know that the big companies like Maruti or Tata Motors have better bargaining power than their suppliers have. Right? So therefore, you'll notice that a lot of these suppliers want to sell their products to them. Right? Third, it answers is, what substitutes product exist in the marketplace and how do they differ from our own? So again, picking up from five forces model of Porter, what is it that whatever I'm selling, what are the substitutes that are there in the market? And how is it that we are different from another? In all of this, you will notice that there is a cost angle that is involved. Right? And then we have what is our critical capability, and will we have, now that's where we play a very important role, will we have enough cash to support our strategy, or will we need to seek additional sources? While you're answering these questions with a financial implication, you need to judge what are the sources from where I will arrange these funds. Right? So that's one that we are trying to measure. So why do we need to measure cost? And I'm going to give you in specific what is the requirement, though we all know. One most important that we all understand very well is pricing, right? Apart from pricing, what do you think, why do we need to measure cost? Yes. What is the need to measure cost of anything that we do? Our cost object can be anything from cost per hour to cost per employee to cost per project. Why do we need to measure it? One is to calculate the profitability. What is the other reason? Okay, yeah, Hina.
To fix the price?
To fix the price. Okay, profitability, price. What else could be the reason? Profitability, price. What else? Any other thing that comes to your mind?
Ma'am, cost could have a lot of components as to just to reach from say stage A to stage B. So each of those components we can analyze
Okay.
that which one's taking more cost.
Okay, okay. So for cost control purposes, as you said, we need to know which part of cost is adding more to it. Very good answer there. Okay, what else?
Whether we have to outsource it or make it on our own.
Very good. That is one of my favorite topics, make versus buy. Right? So if I want to take any decision, one of the most important aspect about why do we need to measure cost is it helps us in arriving any kind of decision. And as you very rightly picked up, and I'm very happy to hear that whether to make or buy, I want to know how much does it take to make that product and how much does it take to buy that product. So that's going to be a very important decision. We are going to do a small case on that. What else? I think you've majorly covered. So first is profit measurement, as you've rightly covered. This is one that normally people don't talk about, but in fact is one of the most important reason that we measure cost is inventory valuation. We all know that. Now imagine how much inventory must be there with ITC or Hindustan Unilever Limited or with Tata Motors or with Maruti. So much of inventory, and when I say inventory, I am including all the three. All the three, that is raw material, work in process or work in progress, and finished goods. And they all at different levels available with the company. All right. Raw material, obviously in the raw form, we purchased it. Plus, we've spent a lot of money in processing it. All right. So, imagine Maruti, Ciaz, and components have been bought, body is being built, there is a paint that is being bought, steel has been bought, and we're giving shape to all that. Obviously, that will take time. Certain vehicles will be 10% complete, certain 20, certain 30, and certain 80. And we are adding a lot of cost. We're spending money in manufacturing all of that. But this all inventory, which is lying incomplete with the organization must know what is the value of all of that. Right? Of incomplete also, plus complete. So raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. You must know as an organization what is the value of this inventory. That is something that will come from cost information. Right? So all the cost that has been incurred in converting that raw material to that stage at which it is right now, we add all the cost. We call it directly attributable cost for manufacturing. That all needs to be added up so that we can calculate inventory. And why is this important? In a manufacturing organization, there are two places wherein our spending is highest. One, the long-lived assets, right? So product, property, plant, and equipment. Tata, JK Cement. You look at cement, steel, real estate. All of them will have very high amount of long-lived assets. And other will be within current assets, the inventory. That's where companies' major money will be spent, right? So we want to ascertain the value of that inventory, and cost accounting will help us to arrive at that value. In the balance sheet, the value that we show for inventory is determined by many methods which are used for cost accounting. So that's the second purpose. Third, make or buy, as you said, or pricing decision, right? What if I have only one room and I have to run 4-5 classes? Which one will get preference, right? I have one machine and I'm making carton boxes and I have demand from all kind of companies. Which one will I manufacture first? That's the kind of decision which management accounting will help you take that kind of decision, right? On the basis of certain cost and profit, we will be going to talk about all of that as well. Fourth, of course, is the performance measurement. When you talk about comparing different departments, you not only look at their performance from the point of view of the quality of products that they have provided or services that they have provided, you also look at it, how much of the budget had they spent for this particular activity. Every organization, no matter how large or small it is given certain budget within which they are expected to operate. Right? So performance measurement also, for performance measurement also, we need to measure cost, and for all kind of planning and control. All right? So planning can be, as we just covered, I want to launch a new product in the market, or I want to start with an advertising campaign. So cost will tell me, okay, stay within this amount. If it is within this amount, then only it is great, otherwise no. And this, from this data, I'm going to control. We are going to talk about that as well in detail when I say budgeted costs, right? So we need to measure costs for many of these reasons. Profit, inventory valuation, within decision making, you all have said pricing, right? Pricing plus many more. I'm going to take small cases on each one of those. Performance measurement and planning and control. So let's, before we start looking at different cases, as today our focus is to build the cost concept, let's get used to certain vocabulary of cost. And these terms are such that you can use it in your classes while teaching whichever subject you are teaching, right? So let's understand these terms. One is, of course, the word cost. I'm sure we all know the meaning of cost, right? So whatever amount is sacrificed to achieve an objective, that is cost, as simple as that, right? And then we also use the word actual cost and budgeted cost. Actual is how much actually I paid for that. Budget is I thought I'll pay so much, all right? So there can be difference between actual and budgeted. A cost that has occurred, and budgeted is the predicted one or forecasted one, all right? Budget you prepare on certain basis on your own performance of previous years. You would know that I have been spending so much for a particular raw material. So I specify a range that I will not buy a raw material beyond this rate. Okay. That is going to be your budgeted cost. And the most important word here is, though every word is important here, but the most important is cost object. So when I say cost object, it can be anything. Normally, we kind of assume that cost object is a product. Not necessary. It is not necessary that when you talk about cost object, it necessarily has to be a product. It can be anything. You can, in fact, cost object can be an employee, can be cost for student, cost for employee, or in fact, it can be cost for any meeting that you're attending. Right? So object can be anything for which you want to calculate cost. It can be a project, it can be a product, it can be a service, it can be a person, it can be a meeting, it can be anything. Right? So these are terms I'm going to use. And here I have few examples. A product like BMW X5 sports activity vehicle, that's a product. They want to also know how much does it cost to have a telephone hotline, right? So customer care, if you want to call up someone, obviously there are people employed there. You want to know how much does it, BMW would like to know how much does it cost to provide that service to the customers. Then it can also be for a project. You know, you've started a R&D project on their DVD system enhancement. So you want to, you know, calculate the cost of that particular project. It can be your cost object can be a customer. So you want to know how much does it cost for a particular customer. So Herb Chambers Motor dealer that purchases a broad range of BMW vehicles. This is their distributor. So for a company, they become their customer, and we want to determine how much does it cost to sell it to them. It can be an activity like setting up a production machine, or department, environmental health and safety department. You can add cost object can be, you know, this is just 6 of these that I've highlighted. You can add to this list, right? So I normally say, you know, in institutions, we do a lot of meeting. Have you ever thought how much does it cost to conduct one meeting? Right? So one is the direct cost as to how much is the tea and coffee, a samosa and biscuits being consumed. Other is what is the opportunity cost? If people weren't attending the meeting, what is it that they might be doing? Was that more useful than attending this meeting for for value addition for the institute, right? So one can use cost concept anywhere and everywhere. So while I talk about cost here, the word cost, I also want to, I'll just stop sharing the screen for a while. And I want to know from you, if we want to classify costs, how do we classify it? What could be the basis of classifying? If you can give me 2-3 examples. So, you know, one, I can give you a hint like, yeah, Hina has already written fixed cost. Okay. That's a perfect answer there, Hina. Fixed and variable. Okay. Fixed cost and variable. Anyone else? Other way of classifying cost? Variable cost, yes, that's right. Yes, Anand, if you can also mention per unit cost, yes, Ashwani, that's also right. Others also, please try. Cost accrued directly to sales, cost incurred otherwise. Okay, so direct, Lakshya, that's a very good answer. Direct cost and indirect cost. Okay, operational and non-operational. Very good answer there, Anuj. Okay. Okay, so you've given me a few. What I'll do is, I will introduce certain terms from a very basic one, as I said. We'll start with direct and indirect, right? How are we going to distinguish between the two? I'm going to explain that too. So direct costs can be specifically and exclusively identified with the cost object. So I'm showing you a product here. This is a steel bottle of Milton. One can easily identify that steel is being used to make this bottle. And we must have made it on a machine, and there must be a labor if it's not totally automated machine, a labor which is taking out steel from one place, putting it on the equipment, it taking shape, picking up the bottles, packing it, and then selling it. So then there are certain costs which you can directly identify with the product. These are called direct. And then there are, so we have used the word cost tracing. You can directly trace it with the bottle. But then there are certain indirect costs which cannot be exclusively identified with the cost object. So to give you an example, like insurance premium paid. Say that again.
ஊருக்கு படந்தாள் தான் பெரிய டவுன் பக்கத்துல கிராமத்துல அதே நிம்மதியான பொழப்பு என்ன எக்ஸ்போஸ் இருக்கிறோம் உட்காந்துட்டு அதிலே மிதந்துட்டு 1 லட்சம் சரி நீங்க யூகே போயிட்டு வந்தீங்க என்ன
ஹலோ சங்கராஜி Okay, so as I said, one you can directly, so other is like insurance premium paid for that building, fire insurance paid for that building. Now that you cannot directly identify this with this bottle of water. You might be manufacturing jars or bottles of different sizes, right? Milton is making so much, maybe making in the same factory. So all that insurance premium, or also like guards standing at the gate of factory, right? They are not manufacturing bottles, but they are useful stuff for the factory, right? So therefore, the ones that you can identify with the product itself becomes your direct cost, and the ones you cannot identify with the product is your indirect cost. And indirect cost is also called overheads, right? So what do you think, how do we deal with this kind of, suppose there is salary given to the guards, okay? And I am manufacturing in my building 5 different kind of products, all right? I'm making steel jars. I am making steel bottles of different sizes, right? And I'm also making, say, steel plates. These 3 products. How do you think these overheads will be, that cost will be distributed amongst these 3 different kind of products? What could be the basis? Any idea? Anyone? Equally? Okay. The companies actually decide how do you want to distribute this. If I take an example of an institute, so if there is guards, in one program we have a 240 student number, we have 60. So we might divide that in that ratio, right? Or we might use many other surrogates, as we call it. That is something that companies normally decide on the basis of their own experience, whether they want to use number of students, number of hours, or they want to do it equally, right? So cost allocation is that process of assigning these costs to objects using a surrogate rather than a direct measure, because indirect costs like insurance premium or say rent paid for the whole building, we cannot identify that with one product. A carpenter might be manufacturing table, chairs, sofas, all kind of product at one, at what factory. How will it, right? Yeah, as per the setup ratio, you're right, Anshumani. So you then decide whether I should do it on the basis of number of units or number of hours. You decide what basis do you want to use, right? So this all depends upon your definition of your cost object, right? So normally, how do we prepare a cost sheet? We write all the direct expenses first, add them up, and we call it prime cost. And then we also add overheads. Overheads, if you notice on this slide, are given under three major heads: factory, office and admin, and selling and distribution. So if I add up my direct costs, I call it prime cost. If I add my factory overhead, now that's the place, people, where all your factory expenses are incurred within a factory. As I said, the person standing at the gate is also your cost, but is an indirect cost in a factory. That also needs to be added to your overall cost. Also, it's not just that you manufacture and just sell it. You do have a head office. So you add up office and admin overheads to factory cost to arrive at cost of production. And last but not the least is selling and distribution expenses. We all know when all the things are made, ready, packed, that's when we start selling and distributing it. All this totals up to cost of sales. So now that you've seen that, so one, that I've told you, one way of classifying is direct and indirect. Okay. Now we'll go to another one which Hina pointed out earlier on, was fixed cost, and Mudha also wrote variable cost. Second way of classifying cost is on the basis of its behavior. What if I produce more? Will my cost increase? Yes, it would increase. Certain costs would increase. Certain there wouldn't be any change. All right. Those which will not change are my fixed costs. And those which will change are my variable cost. So if BMW makes more cars, obviously it will have more tires. Right, it will consume more tires. If Milton is making more bottles, obviously the steel it is using is their direct cost, variable cost. More the production, more will be the cost of steel. But the same does not apply to the insurance premium paid for the building. If we are assuming in the same building we are manufacturing more bottles of water. All right. So that is fixed cost. Third way of looking at it is semi-variable. It includes both fixed and variable component. So if you look at telephone charges or even salesperson's salary is normally we say, oh, variable, right? And fourth is semi-fixed. Semi-fixed is like a step cost, right? So we say for 0 to 60, it is so much, like, faculty cost, right? If I go teach a section from 0 to 60 students, my salary will be so much. But if I teach another section, if I'm a visiting faculty, I'll be paid extra for that. Right? Let me show this to you, and obviously I've given you a note here. All this depends upon the time period that is involved in it. Right? In the short term, some costs are fixed, but in the long term, all are variable. You can change every. I'll just show you through a diagram also here. So here's I've summarized this here: variable cost, what it is, and fixed cost, what it is. So it will change in production with output, more cost. Somebody also wrote per unit. Yeah, I remember Ashwani wrote it. Normally we assume that variable cost. So if you're paying a faculty per hour, say 5,000 rupees per hour, 5,000 will remain is unchanged in relation to output per unit, right? But yes, for every hour, there is a fixed amount, but overall, it depends upon the number of hours you take it. All right. And then you have fixed costs, which are unchanged in relation to the output. Examples, rent. My salary is fixed, right? And everyone's salary, I assume, is fixed, right? Insurance paid, fixed. Rent paid, fixed. So it doesn't depend upon salary. Thank God our salary doesn't depend upon how many students sit in the class, right? So if more students sit, obviously it will be like economies of scale. It will change inversely with the output, right? And this is how it will look like. Variable cost. One side I have put across as total, right? So if my production is of 100 units, I am incurring 1,000 pounds as my cost. For 300, it is 3,000. You will see that this is going up and it is starting from zero. If I don't produce at all, the cost is zero. More I produce, more will be the cost. But how's this different than this? This is per unit. Per unit, if you notice, 1,000 divided by 100 is 10. 10 per unit, this is a straight line. Right? That's variable cost for you. Let's look at fixed cost. Fixed cost, whatever the level of activity, it remains the same, the cost. But per unit, if you manufacture more, so the denominator is increasing, numerator remaining the same. Let's assume the fixed cost is 50,000 and you were producing 100 units, all right? So 5,000, but when you start producing 200, then it will be 50,000 divided by 200 and it will keep on going down. Third is the semi-fixed, which as I said, will take shape of steps. So for 0 to 60, or if I'm talking about a factory with a certain capacity, for a particular room, your rent is so much. But when you increase it beyond, you have to take another room and it goes up. And so this takes shape of a step. That's why it's called step cost also. Right? And you know why we're talking about this? This will also help us to collate the information for the decision making, right? Semi-fixed is this, and this is semi-variable, like your telephone charges. Minimum bill is so much, rest depends upon how much of it that you use your phone, right? Is it all right so far? I mean, the different cost that we have shared, direct, indirect, and fixed variable. Today, I'm going to do the basic terminology first. So I've just used two classifications. Any questions, please feel free to ask me any questions now. Yes, please. I'm waiting for your questions. Lakshay, any question, or this was all right? No questions. Naveen, any questions?
Ma'am, when we say variable cost or whatever might be the cost types, ma'am, is it any division that this belongs to this particular cost? Can we able to differentiate, ma'am?
Yeah, on the basis of its behavior with your activity level. What is the question that you'll ask is, will this cost increase if I say produce more? Now, will salary of the guard standing at the gate go up if there are more students in the campus? No, it wouldn't, right? He would still get the same salary. But if will I be spending more on books that I distribute to students for free? You know, we give them course books. So if there are more students, will I need to buy more books? Yes. So you need to question while you segregate, because it is important that you segregate into fixed and variable, you need to raise that question, will it go up if I do more of whatever your activity level is? When I say activity level, it could be your units of production, it could be your services that you're providing, right? So it depends upon that. Have I
Thank you,
answered
ma'am.
your
Thank
question?
you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right. Anyone else with any question?
Ma'am, if let's say that there are two entities the same organization is having. For example, a hotel and a manufacturing unit. So if the manufacturing unit employees are using the hotel services, no, then how do they calculate the cost?
So manufacturing, so company is providing both the services. Manufacturing also they are doing, and hotel services also they are doing. Is it?
These are separate entities. But manufacturing employees are there, not the same organization. They are using the facility of the hotel.
Okay.
Let's assume that.
Okay.
So they will be, how the costing will be done, because they are from the same, when they are from the same organization. Will there be any?
Okay, there is one method that we use for that. We call it activity. So while I was discussing direct and indirect, I use a term called cost allocation. Okay, so you basically talking about how do we allocate cost of hotel services being used by employees of manufacturing department, right? That's the question you're raising. So for that, isn't it? For that, what we're going to do is we need to look at how many of my manufacturing department employees use the hotel services. And for hotel services, I have always been calculating costs separately, right? So these two are separate departments. The cost that I've collected for hotel services will be assigned to manufacturing department. Now, what will be the basis? The way I've shown you the cost sheet, if I'm preparing, obviously I'm preparing a cost sheet for hotel services, wherein I have listed my direct cost and indirect cost. Now, since it is within the same department, you might not charge a margin, but whatever cost you are incurring, that cost will be charged to manufacturing department employees for sure. Right? Company will have to bear that, and that will be transferred there. Does that answer the question?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so here I'll give you a quick 10-15 minutes break. It's 3:50 right now. So we'll resume at 4:15. Meanwhile, you can have a cup of tea maybe, and then we'll start with this as to how do I merge both direct, indirect, fixed variable together. Yeah, Lakshay, you can please ask me your question.
Ma'am, could you just please put that screen on which was before the cost
Okay,
terms?
I'll just do that.
There was this one screen. I just wanted to make a note of it.
Okay. This one was there, semi-variable.
Ma'am, ऊपर है थोड़ा. I think
अच्छा.
7-10 slides back.
अच्छा, ये वाला?
No, ma'am. इससे थोड़ा सा पहले. It's just before this, I think. Just before this one, I think so. No. Just before. Yes, this one. Thank you.
I will email this to you, and I remember I haven't emailed my yesterday's presentation. I will email that as well. Along
Thanks, ma'am. I've made a note of it. Thank you.
Yeah. So should I stop sharing now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are we all back?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we start then? Yes? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, but before doing that, as I said earlier, this session was primarily to understand the cost basics. What we now know is that the difference between cost accounting and financial accounting, that's one. That is the first block that you've studied in the second block. Second, you know how it is connected with strategy. Third, we were looking at many cost terms like direct cost, indirect cost, and fixed and variable. And also we had looked into why should we measure the cost, right? So I'm going to share the screen again and start from where we were earlier on. Okay, this is what Lakshya had asked. So I had, okay. So I will, okay. So we have done all of this. This is all okay. And we looked into fixed variable, semi-fixed, semi-variable. Now, it's not necessary that, there are only these classification. In fact, there can be mix of multiple classification of costs. So direct cost can be fixed as well as variable. And similarly, an indirect cost be fixed and variable. While I talk about this, I must also highlight why are we talking about these classifications, because this will influence many of our decisions. Once we know these classifications, we'll use it in tomorrow's session as to how do we use cost for decision making. All right. So let us look at these multiple classifications with an example. Here I have an example with you in front of you. I'm talking about a direct cost, which is variable. As I said, tires used in any automobile is both direct as well as variable. By looking at the car, you can easily identify that obviously a vehicle runs on tires. So it is a part of its direct cost. And more the vehicles that I produce, more will be that cost. And another direct cost can also be fixed. Not necessarily all direct cost is variable. An example is salary of supervisor on BMW assembly line. His salary doesn't depend upon how many vehicles you're producing. It is monthly salary, which is fixed. But that cost is part of our direct cost, since this person, the supervisor, is working in the factory. And also within indirect cost, we can have variable and fixed. Indirect cost, in this case, we've taken example of power cost in one of the plants, which obviously we know more we use the power, more will be the cost. But this is used for multiple products. So it is very difficult to identify that in this plant, how much power is for this particular product. So in that case, it becomes indirect, but it is variable. More you use it, more you run your factory, more will be the cost. Similarly, indirect cost can also be fixed. So we've taken example of lease cost. You might be paying lease for the whole plant, or you might be paying insurance for the whole plant. That is also going to be fixed. So basically, the idea, the learning objective, this particular one was that there can be multiple classifications of cost. Right? We had a look at this example. Now, when we talk about different types of firms, we all know they are manufacturing, merchandising, and services. Why am I talking about this? Because the type of firm also influences one of the major component of cost, which was mentioned in one of my previous slides also, the inventory valuation. The first and second category of firm, that is manufacturing and merchandise firms, will obviously have large amount of cost in terms of inventory cost. right? And within inventory, as I said, there are three types. One is direct material, other is work in process or work in progress, and third is finished goods. When I talk about work in process or work in progress, these are not yet completed. We also call it WIP. And finished goods are completely ready. Now, this kind of inventory, we need to calculate a cost. And for that, we use a term called inventoriable cost or product cost. I'm now, with the help of this, introducing third way of looking at cost. I must mention that we had talked about direct and indirect. That is one. And we've also talked about fixed and variable. And now I'm talking about product and period cost. This classification is also important from balance sheet point of view, the third one, because it is the product cost which goes into the cost of inventory as reflected in the balance sheet. Right? How do we have a look at that? Have a look at this particular slide. So while we talk about treatment of product and period cost, the overall product cost gets divided into two. One, the product that we are selling, and the product that remains unsold. The one we are selling now, based on your FGP sessions done yesterday, the ones that are sold, remember Baron was looking at wheat production, the wheat, fertilizer, all that was consumed becomes part of profit and loss statement. And the one that remains unsold, if there would have been fertilizer, which Ivan and Frederick couldn't consume, that part will become our inventory and will be shown in the balance sheet. Right? So any manufacturing cost. So if you look at it closely, I've also used the word manufacturing cost and a non-manufacturing cost. So for your information, the non-manufacturing cost takes shape of a period. So when I say period, so period is 3 months, 6 months, a year. So salaries paid is for a period, not for a product. That will be shown in the profit and loss statement as it is. So if you paid a salary, let me just write that down on the chat window. So let's assume, let's keep it simple. Let's assume you've paid ₹1 lakh as salary, right? Salary expense. This whole expense is my period for a month, okay? Period expense will be shown as expense in profit and loss statement or income statement, okay? While we talk about product cost, then we don't show the whole cost. Product cost total doesn't straight away go into the profit and loss statement, and the reason is simple, because there will be something lying unsold, okay? So that one, part of it, whatever is lying unsold will go into the balance sheet, and whatever is sold will go into the statement of profit and loss. Right? So I just hope you're fine with these three classifications before I take up a small question here which tests your understanding about fixed and variable costs especially. Right? So I've given you three classifications today: direct, indirect, fixed, variable. Right? So 1, 2, and 3. These 3 is what we've covered today. And now what I want to do is, if you do not have any questions, if you have any questions, I will love to hear those questions from you. If you don't have any questions, then I'd like to share my screen again. I will show you a question wherein I like you to apply your understanding of fixed and variable, and let's calculate cost per unit. Is that all right with all of us? Yes. Any questions, please ask me. Any questions? Fine. Amudha, should I share the screen then? Yes. I'll just share the screen and I will ask that question yeah. Here's the question. I hope it is visible to all. This is gallon. I'll just change it. I think my screen is not visible. Now it will be. Yes, here. So what is expected of you is, I've shared certain data here, right? And what I want from you is, from this data, you will prepare a schedule to be presented to management showing for the mileages of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 and 30,000 miles per annum. How much is your variable cost, fixed cost, total cost, right? And per mile also, all of this. So if you can segregate these costs, that would be wonderful. Add them up and then give me the total cost. Is it doable? If you can please try all this. What I can also do is I'll just share this PPT right away and you can see this question. Will that be okay? And then we can work on an Excel. Right? I'll just do that right away. I'll do it. It will be easier for you to then work like that. Okay. I'll just do it. I've sent it to you. I hope this is downloadable, or if you can download it. And second last slide has that question. And if you can just open that question, and I suggest that you do it on Excel, that works better. Have 4 columns for 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 and 30,000 miles. And then we can discuss it. So I'm giving you 5-10 minutes to just have a look at that question first. Once you've read it, just let me know. I'll discuss the question again, yeah? Yes. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, Pavit. Okay. So 5,500 and 1,500, I'll start from the first one there. So we are going to use this vehicle for 2 years. We've spent 1,500 on this, and in the end, we are getting 1,500 out of it. We are selling it off, trade and price is that. What is it that we can calculate with the help of this? We can calculate the amount of depreciation, the way we calculated it yesterday. So if I calculate depreciation, it is 5,500 minus 1,500, which is like this, divided by 2. If I do this, I will get a depreciation amount, which is 2,000. Am I correct? Is it 2,000? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This amount, whether I drive for 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles or 15,000 miles or 30,000 miles, my cost is the same. So what will you do? You will very simply write 2,000. You will have to make 4 columns, 5 columns in fact, 1 for the cost items and 4 for the number of miles given to you, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 and 30,000, and write depreciation as a fixed cost in all the 4. Right? And okay, let me just show that to you. I'll just stop sharing this and I'll share an Excel sheet. This. I purposely deleted some information. So I'm saying write costs over here. Variable costs, we are yet to fill in that information. Fixed costs, the first thing that we have done is we've calculated depreciation, which is 5,500 minus 1,500. We are doing this per annum, okay? Cost per annum. For every year, how much is the cost? If I drive for 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles, or 30,000 miles. This is how your sheet should look like. You can write fixed cost first or variable cost first, doesn't matter, right? So this is what we are doing currently. I hope this is fine. And now going back again to our question, let's look at maintenance. It says maintenance 6 monthly service costing £60. How will you deal with this one? Any thoughts, any ideas? 60. You already have this, so I'll stop sharing this. I've already sent you the PPT. What will you do with this 60? Tell me. 60 is 6 monthly. So for a year, how much will it be? It says 60 is 6 monthly. Okay. 120, yes, 120 for a year, fixed amount, isn't it? Ruma, put yourself on mute, please. So, maintenance we are saying 120. This we are incurring irrespective of the number of miles. Yes or no? That's what it said over this room. Is it Ruma?
The host can mute me.
I just muted her. Now I know. Okay. So, so maintenance 6 monthly, we know about it now. Now let's look at spares or replacement part, which says per 1,000 miles. How will you deal with this information? Tell me. Spares, where will those be? Is this a fixed cost or a variable cost?
Variable cost.
It is a variable cost. And how much are we incurring? Per 1,000 miles, 20. So it is increasing with every 1,000 miles. So shall we include it in the Excel sheet then? Yes, we must. Is my Excel sheet visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it was 20 per 1,000 miles, and we are talking about spares. Okay. So is equals to 20 multiplied by 5,000 divided by 1,000 per 1,000 mile, let's say. So spares are 100 for this, and I've dragged the formula for 15,000, 30,000, and so on. It is 100, 200, 300, and 600. Is this okay so far? Have we understood depreciation and maintenance being the fixed costs over here and spares being the variable cost? Is this okay?
Ma'am, depreciation, can you tell again, please?
Okay, I will talk about it again. The total cost of the machine given to you was, cost of the car given to you was 5,000. Okay, and it says, sorry, 5,500. And it said trade-in price, if you sell it after 2 years, was 1,500. And life was you keeping it only for 2 years, right? So going by how we calculated depreciation yesterday also for Ox, we divided 40 by 10, if you remember our yesterday's discussion, and we took 4 as depreciation. In this case, how is this different from the previous case? There was no salvage value or scrap value or value at the end of the life given to you. In this case, it is given, which is 1,500. So what I did is equals to this minus this. This is actually the value which I'm using. 1500 to mil hi jayenge, right? So 4,000 is what I'm using. This depreciable amount divided by for how long I'm going to use, which is 2. So 2,000 is my depreciation. Is this fine now?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have spares, we have taken depreciation and maintenance, we have taken. Yes. Yes. So let's also take the rest of the costs. There is vehicle license per annum, which is worth 80. License is, vehicle license is, how much is it? So because since it is common for, same for all, and which was 80, we'll take 80 over here and we will write it for all different levels of activities, which is 4,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 50. I hope you know why we are writing it over here, because it's not changing with the level of activity. All right, license fee remains as it is. Now let's look at insurance. Insurance per annum is 150. Again, this is my fixed cost. 150 every year. All right. Now we are left with the petrol and tire replacement. Where should I put these? Tell me.
In variable cost.
Both of these?
Yes, ma'am.
How much should I write for my petrol in each column? Can you calculate and tell me? And how much should I write for tires? I want you people to calculate and then tell me, please. Just give it a try. I'm going to share my screen. How much are you writing for petrol? Have you done the calculations? It says petrol per gallon is 1.9. And in 1 gallon, you can run for 25 miles. So let's do that calculation. Okay, let me just share the screen again. So
Total miles divided by 25 into 1.9. So
Okay,
that would be
wonderful. 1.9 multiplied by total miles, which is 5,000 in this case, divided by 25, which is 380. And if I drag this formula, I'll get it for all. So this is my petrol expenses, right? And the tires seems to be given in a slightly tricky manner. It says tire replacements after 25,000 miles for 4 at 37.5. Now, how do you deal with this? Will you incur, so answer my question please, will you incur any cost for tire replacement for 5,000 miles?
No, ma'am, it's not.
No, it's not. So 0 for that, right? How about 10,000 miles?
0.
How about 15,000 miles?
Still it's 0.
Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have not written the complete thing here. A part of the question is missing. It was one side, right? Okay. So 15,000 miles going and coming it was, okay? So if it is going and coming, then when will it take 30,000, 15 and 15? Yes?
Yes, ma'am, certainly.
Then it will, right? So, and we're talking about 4. So let me just share my screen once again. And I have done some calculations here, which I'll show it to you now. Share. Okay, so while I was talking, I was doing some calculation. This part I hope is fine. 130. I have added them up, which I should do it in front of you once again. I'll do that right now. So if I add this plus this, spares and petrol, I'll get total. And if I divide that total variable cost with number of miles, I'll get variable cost per mile, and I dragged it and I got it there. Tires, if you notice, I have written it over as in the fixed. You might write it over there, but this is happening, you know, in phases, like it's not in a step, it is happening. After you've covered 25,000 miles, this was both, you know, one way, 15,000 miles one way. So going by that, the tire expense that you've got is 37.5 multiplied by 4 tires that we have divided by 2 is what I've taken it here as 75. Right? And if I do it for 30,000, obviously I multiply that with 2 and I get 150. Right? Is this making sense? Have a look at this. I'll just wait for your responses, these two. So 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 and 30,000 miles per annum. And yes, why did I multiply that with 2? I'll just give you clarification of that as well. What are we calculating here? We are calculating how much does it cost to run this vehicle. For how many years are we running it? What is how many years are we running?
2 years.
Yeah, running this vehicle. Absolutely. That's the question. So if I'm running it for 2 years, wrap. And this just to, yeah. So if I'm running it for 2 years, then 15,000 for 1 year and 15,000 for the second year. So this 15,000 1 year and 15,000 second year will become 30,000 for 2 years, right? And if I run it for 30,000 in a year, for 1 year and 30,000 for the next year, it will be 60,000 for 2 years, right? Going by this, if I look at this 75, as the question says that your tire replacement is after 25,000 at the rate of after 25,000. I'm writing it here at the rate of 37.5 per tire, right? So what I did is I considered this here. 37 multiplied by 4 for 2 years, right? So I'm taking average of this in year 1 and year 2. Other way of looking at this is not to take anything in the first year and making this statement yet again in year 2 and not to take. So we can do year 1 and year 2. This is, I'm doing cost per year, okay? Average cost per year. Let me just revise that. Yeah. What if I have asked you a question, what is the cost for the first year? First year, and how much is the cost for the second year? Then your answers will be different. That's what I think here. I'll just paste it for you, second year. Why am I doing all this? Let me just clarify. If I take it as average cost per year, then this is the item that I'm talking about. 37, since we are running vehicles for 2 years, I'm averaging it out. I've taken 37.5 into 4 divided by 2 and I've got 75 here. If I was doing it for first year and second year, first year it was actually 0 since I ran it only for the first year, and second year it will be 150. Right? So it depends upon the cost you calculate, depend upon what is the period for which you are considering. That was the major point that I wanted to draw your attention to while discussing this problem. Is this fine? If you have any questions, please ask me. Is this all right?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Is this all right with all of us? Kindly confirm.
Madam, please share the screen now.
Okay, I'll just do it again. Sorry.
Excel sheet.
Yes, here. Is this visible? Should I share this with you? I mean, on the Zoom chat.
Better, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll just do that. For that, I will have to close it and save it, and then I'll share it with all of you. Yeah, I'll just do that. So use sheet.
Presentation also you will share, ma'am.
Huh?
Presentation also you will
I
share.
have shared it already.
She has shared.
I've already shared it. I'll just share this one also.
Ma'am, have you shared in chat box?
Yeah, I have. Should I share it again? I'll do that
Yes,
again.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Madam, in chat box, sometimes it cannot be downloaded. So it would be fine if you can email via
I will
organizer.
email it
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
thank you,
shared
ma'am.
the presentation sheet. If you can download it, if you cannot, I will also, I've also sent this Excel. See if both of these are downloadable.
In some of the devices, from Zoom chat,
Okay.
it cannot be
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Sometimes
I will-
it is the issue. That's why.
Okay, never mind. I will email it to all of you. Don't worry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this was the last thing that I wanted to cover for today. And I hope you've understood the way we look at these costs, because this will impact a lot of our decision making that we teach in our class for any of our courses, IT operations, marketing, HR, right? Any of these courses and strategy, we use cost management quite a bit. So I'll carry on with this cost for decision making tomorrow, and tomorrow will be more on decision making. So small cases which we'll see how cost impacts the decision making, right? That we will do tomorrow. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes.
So shall we close it here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Fine.
Fine.
Okay, then thank you so much for your time and patience. I know it is a long day for you, attending three sessions. Right, so that's why I thought of including a break in between. I thought, since morning you people are sitting and attending classes. Right. We will meet tomorrow then with cost for decision making. Right. And with that, I'll cover the first block for you.
Okay, ma'am. Please mail it because it's not being downloaded.
I don't know how to make Ankur's PPT available. I'm using my
My
laptop.
Excel is not downloaded. PPT I could.
Oh,
दोनों नहीं है रजत.
so Sneha, you couldn't download it?
Excel. Please share it again, possible. Let me see.
Okay, I'll just do it. Right away, I'll do it.
Kuber.
It is in my window showing that it is being sent successfully. And now whether it is downloadable, I obviously can't check. Maybe you can check it again.
For us in chat box, it's not available, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So what do I do? Should I email it to you then?
Yeah, mail, ma'am. It's not downloading.
It's not downloadable. Okay, never mind. I will email it to you then.
Please, thank you.
Right. Okay, there is someone again talking.
5 मिनट का फर्क है तू चलने है पहले ये चले
Anshumani, where is her name reflected here? Okay. Okay, so we'll close it here for tomorrow. We'll work on certain cases right in class, small cases. We'll talk about break-even point. We'll talk about relevant cost for decision make versus buy. Kindly be there on time so that we can start and achieve maximum out of the session. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.